Welcome to Talk Across America. I'm Doug Miles, and we're here in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. Joining us now on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome one of the authors of a very fascinating book about a town we thought we knew about, but maybe we don't. It's called A Monster City, Murder, Music, and Mayhem in Nashville's Dark Age. We're joined today by Michael Arntfield. You know him from his work, both written and on television as well. He's got a show on the Oxygen Network, the Oprah Winfrey Network as well, a true crime series. And he joined us by telephone right now. And Michael, good to talk with you. How are you?
Good, Doug. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good to have a chance to talk with you for a few minutes about the book. I've never been to Nashville other than the airport. I guess everybody has that kind of, Grand Ole Opry and Music City and all that, but a lot more has gone on there, right, in the past. Interesting topic for a book.
Yeah, I mean, I lived there for a year. It's a great town. It's sort of Disneyland for grown-ups. People take their bachelor parties there, go retire there, but it was a different city once upon a time, and it's in part the city it is now that people can enjoy because of this murder squad, this elite, one of America's first cold case murder units, and the villains they went after, all real, but stranger than fiction.
Yeah, what makes it interesting, you kind of think, I grew up in New York, you almost expect it to be about New York or, Chicago or, Detroit, those kind of cities. You don't think of it as being from, a nice country place like Nashville, but boy, there were some real bad people there.
There were indeed, and you wonder if this happened in New York or Chicago or L.A., if these stories would be better known. But, I've been teaching by the time I started this book, American Crime History, for years, and until I met the detectives, I had never heard of these cases, and they don't seem to have gotten any real publicity outside of the state of Tennessee, and I don't know why, because they're, on a national level, they're so important.
Yeah, you got even have titles for them, right? You got the fast food murders, you have the Vandyland murders, I guess Vanderbilt, right, university area. So when a title is on a crime, it's a big deal, right?
Yeah, and don't forget, these killers were at large and not caught for anywhere from months to years. So eventually the local media started assigning them names, whether it be the Vandyland killer or the fast food killer or the motel killer or the dive bar killer. Until you get an actual name, they always use these scary placeholders. And, the book, I don't want to give it away, but again, there's still some that are open and are question marks, and we don't know where these people went, and they're still out there. So the book ends sort of with a call to action for people to help out and assign names to the other cases that aren't in the book.
Yeah, it's kind of like, again, growing up in New York back in the 70s, there was the Son of Sam. There's a similar, serial murder there, so they attach a name to it eventually. But yeah, that kind of same story, right? It kind of captures not only the terror, but the fascination too, isn't it?
Yeah, and I weave what happens in Nashville into what other crimes are going on in America at the time. So certainly the Son of Sam's also in the book as a reference, and because Nashville really just became by the 90s a microcosm of a bigger issue in America with respect to serial killing, and it just happens that a lot of them ended up getting arrested in Nashville and a lot of these guys were killing in other states, but they made the mistake of coming to Music City, and then they end up on the radar of this very elite team of detectives.
Pat, I want to pronounce it right, Pastiglione, he's the detective that actually a former New Yorker, right, who wound up being down there.
Yeah, he was born and raised in Queens, and then ended up working at the WTC complex doing HVAC, and went to Nashville on vacation with the intent of joining the NYPD when he got back, but he ended up staying there instead, and then the rest is history.
It became really a great detective, but particularly with cold cases, right? Those are the toughest to solve, obviously, and form that team, right, to go after these people, the cold case murder squad.
That's right. Yeah, one of the first actually formed in America and the most successful in American history. They cleared more cold cases, and he himself, as the case leader, cleared more than any detective living. And some of these cases were cases without bodies being found. To successfully make an arrest and prosecute that person is almost impossible. And they're doing that on top of going after, again, rest stop killers and motel killers and people from other states, and they're flying down to Mexico to extradite people. You can't make this stuff up.
I should have mentioned you're also a criminologist. You taught it for a while at Vanderbilt, so this has kind of been your interest for a long time. Writing the book, obviously it's a true book. We see so many of these crime stories, you think it's fiction, but this actually happened. But the truth, like you said, is almost better than the fiction. What happens, right? I mean, the drama part of it.
Yeah, I think so. And it was at Vanderbilt that I ended up meeting Campos de Leon, and we were just grabbing a coffee, and he started telling me about his career. We were sort of comparing notes on our careers because I was a cop myself for many years, and he's telling me these stories, and I knew right there that this was something, at the very least a book, and because it is, no Hollywood writer could come up with these types of characters, and they are all real, no embellishments even.
How about just the city in general? I mean, when people go to New York or the big cities, you sort of know what areas to stay out of. Like you said, Nashville is known as a tourist spot like Las Vegas, the music and all that. Are people aware of it that live there? Do they talk about it? Or what's the attitude about this?
Unless you were there for 30, 40 years, a lot of people are totally unaware of this. And that's in part because the city is booming so much that a lot of the people have only been there a few years, and there's a whole new generation. And that's why I think it's important to honor the history and the people who helped build it to make it safe. Yeah,
it's fascinating to kind of think of that. But again, the book is called Monster City, Murder, Music, and Mayhem in Nashville's Dark Age, and it just came out last week as we talked today. And Michael, do you have a website? I know people want to get more information about the book and other things you're doing.
Yeah, my website's michaelarntfield.com, or just Google me. You can find my social media, and the book's available at Amazon.com or in most stores where books are sold.
Cool. I know you're Canadian, but you also, according to the notes, you live in Florida part of the year, so I don't know if you're on our side of the state in Sarasota, but it'd be fun to meet you sometime. But thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us today on Talk Across America. Please visit our website at dougmilesmedia.com for more great interviews and content. And if you're interested in any of the books we talk about on the program, please click the Amazon link on our website. It helps support the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again real soon here from beautiful Sarasota, Florida.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.